the rest of the population, which has been voting based on what they perceive to be a lot of people supporting the PAP, so I don't want to go against the government. That's why I throw the vote to the PAP. And this is quite apparent because you hear all the grouses on the ground, you hear so many people condemning the PAP, but you don't see action coming out of them. And once action is taken by some individuals, you always realize that the PAP will start to change that. Many a time, even if you look at the example of compulsory annuity, when it first came out with it, it was called the compulsory annuity. So a few members of the civil society staged a sit-in protest. It wasn't even a proper protest, it was a sit-in protest in Center Point, just wearing black. And some of us even denied to the press who tried to interview us whether or not we are here for a protest. We denied that we are there for a protest. We were there to do shopping, but we were there in black. That response caused the government to rename it as longevity insurance. And that itself was, in a sense, the government taking note of citizens coming out to show their displeasure. And look, in any situation where the government wants to create that illusion of there's a lot of us against so few of you, of course they will do things like preventing you from messing together and so on, but they will also back down from a challenge. What they want is that if there are many people who might challenge this, if they sound you out and find that, okay, I think you're not happy with this, let's better change this, because we cannot afford to take them in a challenge, and we cannot afford to even let people see that we have lost even once. That's what the PAP is trying to create. Because subsequent to that, after they push the burden to the whatever committee that's supposed to come up with some recommendations for the compulsory annuity, they changed the whole thing and they renamed it CPF Life. So I don't know what else is going to come out from there, but I'm very sure that this government does not have the balls, does not have the mettle to stand up to a real political fight. And that's why they hide behind the civil service, they hide behind the civil service actions, and the civil service people implementing the law, they hide behind the law.
Okay, I'll try to be very brief and concise. Now, the theme for today is opposition unity. Now, by opposition unity, we mean coming together from a point of mutual respect. And respect not just for the fact that we are fighting a common enemy, but also respect for our differences and the agreement to tolerate our differences. I think that's an important point in this whole concept of opposition unity. It doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. It doesn't even mean that we have to subscribe to a common manifesto, although that could be a possible aim. But it does mean that we come together, we recognize that we are fighting against a common enemy, and we learn to respect each other's differences in our approaches, our methods, our way of delivery. Now, you look around you and you see the whole country is basically controlled by the establishment. 82 seats in Parliament belong to the PAP. But Parliament aside, the civil service is controlled by the PAP. The economy is controlled by the PAP. GLCs entrench themselves in every aspect of the economy. Everywhere you go to school, you go to work, you take a bus, you take a walk in the park. Everywhere you go, you see facets of the establishment. Even when your children go to kindergartens, very often they go to kindergartens with the PAP logo printed on the signboard, implicitly advertising the PAP again. So the establishment is everywhere. You may feel, or I used to feel, overwhelmed by this, but there is no need actually to be overwhelmed by this. Because if you examine the situation closely, what we have to do is, the road ahead may seem tremendous, but we have to take a step back and get creative about it. And the way to get creative about tackling these issues is to form a cultural renaissance, a political and cultural renaissance. We have to form an alternative society, not just come together as alternative parties. We need people to come together, work together in small groups on things that they're interested in. If you're interested in electoral reform, form a small group, work together with people on that issue. If you're interested in reforming the CPF, come together with like-minded people and talk about it. Come up with alternative proposals and submit it to the government, and let your views be heard by the mainstream public. The point here is to get creative. Think of new ways to do things. Think of new ways to come together. Form groups, form your own groups. Discuss the topics you're interested in. Form groups to teach children, to give seminars. Groups that are apolitical and yet political at the same time. So I think that is the message that I want to bring forward today. That when we see the establishment dominating every aspect of our society, don't get disheartened, don't be overwhelmed, but get creative, think out of the box, and one day we will overcome. Thank you.
We were supposed to end at 5 o'clock. It's 5:30 now. We've overrun our time. Simply because I think it's been so interesting, so rich and so fruitful, presentations, the discussions. I guess we do have time for perhaps one or two really, if you have really pressing question, we may have time for that one or two pressing questions. Please, I'm sorry, I have to keep it to two. The gentleman behind first raised his hand, and this gentleman in front. Keep your questions brief, or I will have to interrupt you. Okay. No, I'm sorry, the gentleman behind you. I'm sorry. Or perhaps we can take a question from you later.
Hi, I'm Mr. Wong. Okay, let me rephrase Dr. Wong's question. Is we have one of the highest education in Singapore, but why are our citizens so political and pathetic?
Thank you.
And no, I mean I'm giving suggestion as well. Yeah, one of the thing is I can't find any information on the maybe the simplest thing on how to vote, and when given the chance to vote, you will think that just go to the ballot box and mark an X and you will do. But there are a lot of things that is involved.